Hi guys, and as usual, welcome to another kit review. So as you can see in today's review, we're having a look at a locomotive, a diesel locomotive. It is from Trumpeter. It's in 1/35th scale. The kit number for this one is 00216, and it came out in 2008. And as you can see, it is a German WR360 C12 locomotive. So first up, WR. WR stands for Wehrmacht Locomotive Regelspur, which is basically a Wehrmacht diesel locomotive. The 360 is the gross horsepower produced by this diesel, and the C12 is actually the weight of the engine in tons. Now, for some strange reason, Trumpeter has decided to model the C12, of which only about half a dozen of these were made. They were pre-production diesel. The most common one is the C14. 261 C14s were built. Some minor differences. The C12 only had a single gear transmission, whereas the C14 had a 3-speed. Slight differences in the length, not anything major, and according to some sources, the front louvers being vertical on the C12, horizontal on the C14, although there's a lot of debate about that because there are photos of C14s with vertical louvers. I guess it came down to whatever was available or built in the factory at the time. Alright, so let's have a look at the box. As you can see, this particular diesel is towing a K5 railway gun. Typical German BMW motorcycle. This is basically what they were used for. They were used anywhere the Germans didn't want a steam locomotive because that would give away its position. So K5s, when they were on the move, they had steam engine leading, and they had the diesels halfway through. The diesels were used when the K5 was set up to maneuver it backwards and forwards and in and out of shelter. They also used the diesel locos in goods yards, just about anywhere, and they were used throughout every theatre. I have got some photos. I might pop a couple in of diesel locos actually in North Africa with the Africa Corps, because naturally enough in Africa you don't have enough water for steam engines, so you use diesels. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's have a look at the rest of the box. So on the side you'll see photos of the actual kit. On the other side, two views. You do get some PE in here. There are no decals. You do get a one-piece body, which is this bit here. So oddly enough, there are no decals at all included in this, even though on the front it shows a serial number. That's an odd choice by Trumpeter as well. No crew, no figures, no nothing with this one. Alright, so let's have a look and see what's in the box. So I did get some aftermarket from Pettinghouse for this particular locomotive, just for the serial numbers and warning signs that go on the side. Instructions, a nice color view, and it does say painting and markings, but there's no markings, and lots and lots of sprues. So this is the top and ends of the logo. You've got clear parts for the windows. These are parts of the gears, etc., and wheels. As you can see, there's your wheels, brakes, other fittings, This gives you a good idea of how big this is. That is the base of the loco, and these are the sides. You do get a section of track, of course, to display the loco on. Under here you've got your standard embankment sections. This is your PE, and in the box here is your actual one-piece body. So not bad. This kit cost me around $90. Normal retail in Australia for this one is around $110 to $130. Alright, so in a second we'll have a look at the instructions and the decals and the PA. So let's have a look at the instructions to start with. Usual warnings on the front, nothing exciting there. Overleaf, you've got your sprue layout, and then it immediately goes into building the track sections. So this is a good idea to get this done first, because it will make sure that when you come to put the wheels and frame together, it will actually sit on the track flat and square. So it's always nice to have something, and besides which it gives you something to put the kit on as you start to build it. Alright, so after you put the track and everything together, we start on the sides. So these are basically where the running gear, this is your suspension, brake sections, etc. going on the sides. Then you've got your axles going in, so that's fairly straightforward. It doesn't have a solid frame, it is just built up from the sides, the axles, etc. Then you've got your wheels going on, brakes going on the wheels, and then here you've got the bottom part going onto the framework, your con rods on the sides, and they are made up of 5 different pieces. That's what that is. So that will need to be fairly straight, so you'll need to make sure that your wheels and everything are nice and straight before you put it all together. Then you've got your front and back buffer stop sections going on. They go on to the frame, and then this is where you put the base of the cabin and the engine section on. So you're looking at the bottom of the diesel. Fairly straightforward. A few other fittings going on. Some I was going to say drums, but they're not drums, cylinders and other recuperating sections for the diesel. Then we get to the engine section. So this is a one piece, really nicely made one piece, and here you've got your side ventilations going on. Then you get to the cabin, and unfortunately the side doors are not open, so you can't open them. There's no way to do that. Only the rear door, you might be able to get away with having that open. Otherwise you'll only be able to see the interior of the diesel through the windows. And then you've got your interior. So this is the main console with your instruments on it and your levers for making the diesel go backwards, forwards, etc. That goes inside. That's a PE grill which goes on the front. It is a double thickness roof for the cabin section, which is unusual. Never seen something like that before. And then literally you've just got the main cab, the engine section goes on to the base. You do have a multi-part ladder. Alright, so that's going to be a tricky one. The multi-part ladder with rungs, etc. like that going together. And there you have it. 14 steps, and it's literally built. All right, so that's the instructions. Speaking of the PE, get that out of the way. So let's have a look at the Photo-Etch. This, of course, is your front radiator grille. These, initially, I thought they were tread plates for both sides of the engine compartment, but they're not. They're actually steps up to the engine compartment. Photo-Etch, plus some turning handles. One thing I've already noticed, though, is this is bent. The whole sheet is bent. So the front radiator is bent, and a couple of these are slightly bent. So I'm going to have to be very careful and flatten them out before I can use them. And yeah, it will be interesting to use these as steps without destroying them. But just another challenge from Trumpeter. Anyway, I'll give you a shot of that. Might give you a shot of that outside the plastic so you can see it better. Okay, so let's carry on. You do get this, I've shown you this one before. So this is your main color scheme for the diesel. It does just say Aqueous Hobby Color, Mr. Color. It does say, I'll bring it up so you can see it, grey and red. So overall, grey, red possibly early in the war, as most German engines had red wheels and things early in the war, but later on everything was grey. If this was operating in North Africa, I'm pretty sure they would have painted this in a sand colour. Every little bit of camouflage helps. There is some debate whether it was grey or green. Some people say they've seen them in green. Grey will be perfect for this one. And I'll show you these. So these are the aftermarket decals that I got from Pettinghaus in Germany. I got them direct from Germany. This is a description of where these decals go. The decals themselves, very hard to see in this camera and this light. Hopefully they'll show up better in the still that I'm going to give you. These are round circles that go on the wheels. You don't have to use these. These are the sides, serial numbers with the German eagle, and yes, they do have swastikas, even though this is from Germany. Electrical warnings and other nameplates. Unfortunately, what's lacking in the whole kit is actually dials for the instruments in the cabin. Trumpeter didn't put them in, and they're not included in this decal sheet, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get away with that one. I may have to have a look through my spare decals or online and see if I can find something that will do. Alright, so that's the decals. In a second we'll have a look at the sprues. So let's have a look at the sprues, and what we'll have a look at first is this box. Well, no, not actually the box, guys, but actually what's in the box. What's in the box is your complete front engine section with the grille work on the front already. So that's really great bit of molding, that is. Front and back, as you can see, really nice detail. But I do love this. So that means this is going to be really solid, and it does give you a really good idea of how big this thing is going to be. Not so big, probably about the size of a Tiger tank, something similar to that. So I do like that. Really nice detail on the sides with latches, etc., to keep all these access doors closed. So that's nice. That's really nicely done. So that's the engine section. So next sprue out is this one. These are your clears, of course, for the cabin, and your headlights, taillights. Really nice and clear. I do like that. These are well done, and strangely enough, they're only just packed in a plastic bag with no foam protection. The foam protection you saw earlier when I took the bags out of the box is for actually some plastic parts. So I might use a bit of foam for this just to protect it. Alright, so that's your clear parts. So the first sprue we'll look at is this one, and as you can see, this is the roof of the cabin. It's a two-part roof, an inner and an outer. The instruments, these are brake sections for the wheels. This is the multi-part ladder. Axles, of course, big wheel, front and back. So let's have a look. So it actually goes around this way, but as you can see, there's no instrument details, so that's a bit of a shame. They could have at least molded details in those dials or provided decals for them, which, yeah, like I said, that's a bit of a disappointment. This is your ladder, and if I turn it around that way, you'll see it already has the rungs on it, so it's not going to be too hard to put together. Couple of rails, so there's not a great detail on these. Not even the brakes have a great amount of detail on them, so what you'll see is fairly plain, but it is a diesel, so no fancy pipes and things like this running all over the place. And the next sprue out is this one. So as you can see, this is the side of the cabin. Some of the cylinders for underneath. This is the framework, or part of the framework I should say, for the running gear. There is a couple of very fine rods, railings, whatever you want to call them. This one unfortunately is already broken, so what I might do is actually glue that while it's still on the sprue to make sure it's solid before I put this thing together. And just the odd axle. This is a bell housing on top of the engine, and other fittings for the engine itself, but not a great deal of like bolt detail and thing. It's a very plain, simplified engine. So next we'll have a look at these. So these two are exactly the same, so I'll put this one aside. And as you can see, these are the side louvers for the engine, and these are your axle sections for the actual wheels, a couple of hooks, etc. This part here is your conrods. I think that's what they call them, conrods for the engines, for the wheels I should say. This is what makes them all turn at the same time. So let's have a look. There's some pretty nice bolt detail on that. So this will turn out quite nicely. Little details like that with a decent wash. It is a shame that these louvers are not open, but that would have been way too hard to do, I think. These handles here, these are what the foam was covering on these particular sprues. There's your rods, conrod, whatever you want to call it there. And quite nice, no flash, and yeah, it's been well done. So next up are these two, again duplicated, so we'll get rid of that one. As you can see, these are your wheels, these are your suspension, other brake halves and cylinders for underneath, and a couple more side levers and some handles and things. So let's have a look at the wheels. Not too bad. Do like the way that's been molded. Pretty sharp. Let's have a look and see. Some quite nice detail for the leaf spring suspension sections, and a little bit of flash on some things, but nothing major. So this one's been actually quite well done. So this is the next sprue, and this is the last one as far as the loco is concerned. Main base section, your sides, and your front and back. As you can see, this door here, it's probably the only door you'll be able to keep open if you want to. So let's have a look at the bottom. There is some wood grain detail on that. Nice checker plates. That's the sides where all your axles etc. go through, and front and back. Some really nice detail, hinge detail. Maybe a little bit of cleanup, but nothing major on that. So that is your main body and basically the locomotive finished. And the only other sprue to look at is your track, which is, if you've ever made a dragon, mini art, trumpeter, rail, vehicle of some description, you'll see what this is. Railway sleepers, ties, whatever you want to call them, the actual rails and the joiners, and this of course is your display stand. So you can just use this on your shelf as it is, or you can put it into your display. That is Trumpeter's WR360 C12 locomotive. As I said, came out in 2008. Kit number is 00216, and it's in 1/35 scale. Something different from your standard armor kit. Won't take up too much space on the shelf if you don't use the actual display stand and just the track itself. About the size of a Tiger tank, thereabouts. So it's not too bad, and actually won't be too hard to put this one together. Really simple painting, grey overall. That's it. Alright, so as I said, that brings us to the end of this review. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something from it. And as always, guys, thank you for your likes, your comments, and your subscriptions. They are really, really appreciated. And as always, guys, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you later.